Ciao guys, welcome to another episode of the Personal PR Show. And today we're here with Hugo. Hello, Hugo. Welcome.
Hello, nice to be here.
Thank you so much for making the
Thank you.
time. So exciting to have you here because today we're going to talk about how to organize a TEDx conference, but how to found a TEDx chapter, right? Which is something that nobody talks about. A lot of people talk about, oh yeah, how to get a TEDx talk, yeah, how to start organize a TEDx conference, but nobody talks about how to found a chapter. So when did you have the idea? When did you found your chapter? Which chapter
so I did two actually, and my TED story is actually it started in 2005 through a sort of a tech conference here in Zurich. I was informed of the main TED conference that and they had the idea to come to Europe for once, and that was going to be called TED Global, and that was in Oxford, and I hadn't really heard from it before, but it sounded very intriguing, so I signed up, and I went, and then I was completely hooked on the whole concept, and because my big thing is figuring out how everything works, and then sharing that with the world. So, and this is a place where you could get lots of different ideas from lots of different disciplines, and so that really attracted me. And the community is also really great. Like, you can, when you visit a TED event, you can immediately dive into deep conversations with people about many subjects.
Yeah.
And so that really drew me in. Then fast forward, so TED started to do experiments with other things, like putting the talks online on YouTube, and that started in 2006 or so, and translating the talks into many different languages, and then they had, like, because they got so many requests, like, hey, can you come to our country and do a TED event? They were like, well, let's see, maybe we can do something else with that. So they started an experiment called TEDx to let other people create a TED-like event. And for a very long time, the tagline underneath is an independently organized TED event. That's what the X stands for. And I went to one of the first TEDx's in the world, that was in Amsterdam, and there I ran into Bruno Cisani, who was in TED. He was the global director, I think, at that time, and so he co-organized or he organized the TED in Oxford. And I told him, like, well, I'd like to do this in Zurich. How do I sign up? And then he said, well, there are two people who are already doing that in Zurich, so maybe you can connect with them and join them. So that was Peter Hogenkamp, and now I'm blanking. Sorry, it'll come back to me. And Urs Bucher was also in there, and it was a small but fanatic group of people. And Tim Duurkoop, sorry, yeah. Obviously, I couldn't couldn't remember, couldn't forget that one. So I got in touch with them and joined them, and then because I had already been to a main TED conference, we could get a license for a big event. And that is something that you should know when you want to start to organize an event. There are several tiers, and so there's a small event. I think I don't have all the details, but it's very well documented on TED.com/TEDx. If you haven't been to a TED event, a qualifying TED event, then I think the audience size has to be less than 100, and it has to be maybe half a day or so instead of a full day. And if you are qualify for a larger license, then you can have more people, and you're a bit more free. You have more freedoms in how to organize things. So since I was the only one on the team who had been to a main TED event, I basically gave the superpowers to the team to organize a bigger one. And I was also always the one who said, hey, at TED they do it like this, and yeah, so it worked in that sense. So we basically had to, at that time, figure everything out ourselves. There wasn't much experience and documentation. But that was okay. And then the TED people were very accommodating. They obviously the community was still much smaller of TEDx organizers, so they had time to talk to us and to figure everything out. And then so I did that for a few years, and basically played several different roles. And then I left the team for a while, for a few years, because it is actually a lot of work, especially in small teams. Nowadays, the team is much bigger, and so tasks can be delegated much better. And then in 2008, another friend of mine, Guy Spear, had the idea to create a smaller TEDx, also in Zurich. And luckily, Zurich is big enough. So we created another one called TEDxZurich. And we had one edition, and I think maybe it will remain by one. Then the next year, many people in the team had other things to do, other priorities, and then COVID came, and then so now we would have to basically restart the whole thing. But it was a really fun one. It was up on the Rigi Blick. Not the Rigi Mountain, but Rigi Blick here in Zurich, so Zurichberg. And yeah, let's see, what else can I say? So I think the process has evolved over time. There's a few more ways to organize events. There are also variants on events. There's TEDx salons, and I probably don't know all of them at the moment. My current status is that I just joined TEDxZurich again, the main team, and this year I helped with the production. So that allows me to keep my time under control, and it's really cool. It works very well with all of the departments that have their own specialties, and yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, you told me last year that you even developed a software just for TEDx. Do you want to share?
Yeah, it was inspired by events like TEDx. I really enjoy helping on the production side, so the audio video stuff, and making sure that the presentations are shown properly on screen, and also helping to coach the speakers on their presentations, like what slides work best, and also their speaking, obviously, the rhetoric and things like that. But on the production side, what I was missing a little bit was the countdown timer, or a good solution for that. And there are quite a few solutions, but some of them, the professional ones, are very expensive and very hard to use. And some of the more amateur ones are not so good. And I thought, well, what if I can make one that runs on an Apple TV? Because then you can just take the little Apple TV from home, which you're not using during the event anyway, and put it next to the stage with a monitor, and then you have a countdown timer. And so that became a project, and it grew into something much bigger. Now it's for all Apple platforms, so the Mac, iPhone, iPad, everything, and except for the watch yet, but I should be working on that. Yeah, and then you can put the whole schedule in and have a countdown timer. And obviously, you can use this for all your personal meetings as well. Like if you have a team meeting, you can just use it as a countdown timer.
So good. So can we find it in the Apple Store, in the App
Yeah,
Store?
yeah, absolutely. It's called Event Timers. On the Facebook group, I can probably add a link. I didn't
Thank
prepare
you.
that.
Not to worry, I've just shared the name in the comment section of our live on Facebook. And then, of course, we'll be sure to also share the links not on Instagram, on YouTube, because this interview is going to go on YouTube.
Yeah,
good.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So everybody can use it.
Yeah, there's a free version. It is a free version. I have some enhanced capabilities that you can buy a subscription for, but it's very. I think it's very usable as it is, and but I will keep expanding the possibilities. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. And was that used at the last edition of TEDxZurich last month?
Yeah, I used it. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. It should be expanded to all TEDx's.
Yeah, I'm well, talking about the PR, and I will post it in sort of the TEDx organizer groups, and see if other people find it useful to use it at their events. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure that Mark Fanrich at TEDx Stuttgart will be happy to use it later this year.
Yeah,
Right.
I saw some other similar. I saw some other attempts for timers in the community, and they weren't as easy to use. Well, in my opinion, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm very biased, probably. So. Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, if it's something that we produce, that we created, then of course we're always biased. Like when I look at my kids, I'm like, they're the most beautiful kittens in the world, of course, right? But anyway, so I want to ask you, Hugo, because you've been in this world for many, many years. So you have worked on the production side, you co-founded TEDxZurich as well. And then you said that you had a host of different roles as well through the years, right? So my next question is, what were these roles and what was your favorite one apart from production, which we have just talked about? Yeah.
In the beginning, we had to figure everything out. And so I worked on ticketing and I sort of was the IT guy in the team to set up like Google, the Google Docs and those kinds of things, Google Drive, Calendar, and some of the tools that we used for our processes, and yeah, so I was involved with a lot of different things, and also helping on the production side, working with the external professionals, so the camera people and things like that. Then at TEDxZurich, I was the sort of the main curator. That's what it's called. And every TEDx organization has like one main organizer, and this is the person who has the main responsibility for the event towards TED, for the license of the event. And I played that role for TEDxZurich. That means you get to coordinate with TED and everything, and make sure that everything is done right. And I also then happened to, so I was sort of leading the team, and I probably did a little bit too much. The next time I would do a bit less, but I did too many different things. It's always tempting, but I also was the moderator on stage on that event, and that was really fun to do. But I would definitely not underestimate that. I sort of was maybe procrastinating a little bit with the preparations for the moderation, and in some cases I stumbled a little bit because I just said I was, I came into a time crush, and yeah, that probably made it authentic, and I think the audience was fine. But next, if I would do that again, I would focus a little bit more on one role instead of doing too many things at the same time. Other than that, you also have people who work with the volunteers. You have people who look for sponsoring and partnerships, and people who take care of the catering and the location and social media and all of those things. It's a regular organization. It's a big undertaking.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like a business at the end of the day, because the money comes in and goes on. You have to have your balance sheet and so on, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're not allowed to make money. I mean, it has to be a non-profit, and we are not allowed to give ourselves salary. In the meantime, with the larger licenses, I think it's now possible to pay some staff, like administrative staff, for throughout the year. But there is quite strict limits on that. For the latest rules and regulations, just see TED.com/TEDx, and there you find everything. So.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't believe how many roles you have covered over the past 10 plus years more. You should write a book. You are the Swiss Army knife of TEDx.
Well, yeah, there have been a bunch of books written on that already. Yeah, if I ever run out of ideas, then yeah.
But what is on your vision for your role for Hugo in TEDx, in the world of TEDx? And it could be TEDxZurich or Zurichberg or other TEDx chapters. What is it? What is one of your dreams that you would like to fulfill in the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years?
Well, what I've already been doing is over the years connecting people to TEDx organizations and giving advice and things like that. So pretty informal, actually, and I will probably keep doing that. And I keep going to the main TED conference. Actually, the main TED conference is starting like today, and I'm not there, unfortunately. I decided to skip it.
Sorry, our friend Caitlin is there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a bunch of people I know. Like it's a reunion usually every year, but this year I just decided to take a break. But next year I'll be back there again, and so that's basically I intend to keep doing that, and I will probably be on the TEDx team next year and maybe the year after. We'll see. TEDxZurich, that is, and that is pretty much it so far. And but I continuously keep on the lookout for other things to do. And when you go to TED, there's a big infusion of inspiration that you get, and there will undoubtedly be other things that pop up in the coming years. Yeah.
But I do have a vision for you, which is that your software, I'll tell you the name exactly. Oh my God, where did I put it? Yes. The name is Event Timers. It's going to be used by all TEDx conferences and even the main TED conference.
Well,
have
that's
this vision,
possible. Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm typing it in the chat right now. Oops.
The link? Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Perfect. In Facebook,
There's
right?
some sort of weird autocomplete. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Does this now work? I don't know. There. Okay, just posted it. Yeah.
That's awesome, so that everybody can see it, and then of course we'll be sure to include it in our YouTube
Thanks.
episode.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
you already covered the TEDx speaker angle in other
Yeah, so
podcasts?
we've talked about TEDx a lot of times here already on the personal PR, and once we had Lizzie, who's a triple TEDx speaker in England. Then we had Mark Fandrich from TEDxZurich, Stuttgart.
Yeah.
We talked about, basically how to organize a TEDx conference. And then once we had a panel, it was about 2 months ago, with the two of them together. And so I was asking, I asked maybe in 1 hour, I asked 5 to 7 questions. And then all of these questions were answered by Lizzie and by Mark as well. So we wanted to have both perspectives, both angles of the TEDx speaker and a TEDx organizer. So if you want, we can do another panel, and with you, Mark, and Lizzie, if you want. Or you can bring other people as well if you want. We can have a little TEDx panel on the personal PR show.
Well, yeah, if there's anything more to say, sure. That's cool. I'll go and see if I can find those episodes and have a look. Yeah.
Yes, you can find them on YouTube. Is the easiest. Here in the Facebook group as well, but YouTube is the easiest. Yes. So good. All right. I do have one last question, Hugo, that I ask everybody at the end of every single interview that we have here on the Personal PR Show, which is, what is a question that I didn't ask you over the past 30 minutes, but I should have asked you?
Well, I actually... maybe something like a PR angle, but that's why I was asking, because you already covered that probably with the other podcasts about TEDx speakers and PR. I was I think that what TEDx organizations are looking for is people is basically ideas worth spreading. And the driving forces behind those ideas, or the people behind those ideas, and that. So when a TEDx speaker comes on stage, they give a talk. This is something that obviously is good for their own PR, and they can use it. But I think most TEDx organizers are and should be wary of the reverse, where somebody wants to give a TED talk or find an idea for a TED talk just because they want to do their own, become more known or something. So I think this is a good. I think most TEDx organizers will try to filter for the people who generally have an idea and are maybe even a bit shy to share it, versus the ones that are looking for an idea just to get exposure, so to say.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
I see the other side of the coin. Absolutely. I am on the other side, of course, because I'm the publicist here and the personal PR.
Yeah.
Strategist, definitely.
Yeah.
I tell people, okay, let's find your breakthrough idea first, right? This is what we do first. And then, of course, we go and spread it on multiple channels, own channels, third-party channels, whatever, and stages and whatever. But first, you have to be clear on your breakthrough idea. I totally agree with you on this.
Sure. And be passionate about it and really have something new to say about it. Yeah.
Totally, because this is the idea that you want to be associated with. So that when people think they think of your idea, and the other way around as well. When you hear their idea, your idea, or that particular concept that you coined, they think of you immediately. For example, with me, it's personal PR. I made it up, right? So when people hear personal PR, they think of me, and the other way around as well, right? So definitely, yes. And then, of course, and then you can express it on so many different channels and so on. And a TEDx stage could be one of them as well. Totally. But it's not that you just make an idea up just for a TEDx stage, just because you want the visibility and the exposure and so on. It doesn't work like that. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So good. Yeah. Well, then thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and all of your expertise on TEDx here on the Personal PR Show today. We would love to see you here again on a panel, for example, with Mark, Lizzie, and other people that you might want to bring along.
Sure. Thanks. And this is the first time I actually am a guest on the podcast. So I think
you did it brilliant.
I think it went well. Yeah.
So good.
Right.
Well,
thank you very much.
Hopefully we will be your second episode as well, not just the first appearance, but also the second one.
We'll see. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and looking forward to see you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, in Zurich or online. Perfect. Thank you so much, Hugo.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, guys, for following us here on the Personal PR Show. And I'll see you very soon in half an hour for the next episode. Take care. Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.